just tired. I don't think I'm going to last very long. Yeah. Oh, hello, Mr. Humpty.
Mom.
Sorry. Where did we get to?
Through the looking glass.
Right. I'll tell you all my ideas about the looking glass house.
What's a looking glass?
It's a mirror, like that one.
Mom.
I'm sorry. Right. First, there's the room you can see through the glass.
There is a room through the glass. I've seen it.
Have you? I expect it's probably like this room, isn't it? Just the other way around.
No, different. Completely different. You look.
Go over there and look over there. That's some coffee.
Please.
Oh, you're such a mean boy. All right.
Can you see it?
I can see you and me. I'd rather not see me at the moment.
What about the room? The one through the glass?
No, just this one and all your things.
You're not looking hard enough. You've got to believe it before you can see it.
First, there's the room you can see through the glass. That's the same as our drawing room, only the things go the other way. I know that because I've held up one of our books to the glass, and then they hold one up in the other room. How nice it would be if only we could get into Looking Glass House.
Go on, try.
They don't keep this room nearly as tidy as they should. Here are the White Queen and the White King walking arm in arm. I don't think they can hear me. And I'm nearly sure they can't see me. I feel somehow as if I were getting invisible.
It's the voice of my child! My precious Lily! My imperial kitten! Mind the volcano!
What volcano?
It blew me up here! You come out the regular way! Don't get blown up!
We'll be hours and hours getting to the table at that rate. I better help you, hadn't I? Oh, please don't make such faces. Make me laugh so much I can hardly hold you. Water.
I assure you, my dear, I turned cold to the very end of my whiskers.
Call those whiskers?
Oh, the horror of that moment. I shall never, never forget.
You will forget it if you don't write it down in a memorandum.
The Jabberwocky. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. It's rather hard to understand. It seems to fill my head with ideas. Only I don't exactly know what they are. But if I don't make haste, I shall have to go back through the looking glass before I've seen what the rest of the house is like. I'll look at the garden first.
My dear, I really must get a thinner pencil. I can't manage this one a bit. It writes all manner of things that I don't intend.
What sort of things? The White Knight slid down the poker. He balanced very badly. That's not a memorandum of your feelings.
I should see the garden far better if I could get to the top of that hill. And here's the path that leads straight to it. Oh, Tiger Lily, I wish you could talk.
We can, when there's anybody worth talking to.
Exactly.
How is it you all talk so nicely? I've been in many gardens, but none of the flowers could talk.
Put your hand on the ground, then you'll know why. In most gardens, they make the beds too soft, so the flowers are always asleep.
I never thought of that before.
It's my opinion that you never think at all.
Absolutely.
Are there any other people in the garden besides me?
There's one other flower in the garden that can move about like you, but she's more bushy than you are.
So she's not like me.
Well, she has the same awkward shape as you, but she's redder and her petals are shorter.
Yes, not tumbled about like yours.
But that's not your fault. You're beginning to fade, you know. You are. And then one can't help one's petals getting a little untidy.
Where do you come from? Where are you going? Look up, speak nicely, and don't twiddle your fingers all the time.
I've lost my way.
I don't know what you mean by your way. All the ways about here are mine. But why did you come out here at all? Curtsy while you're trying to think what to say. It saves time. It's time for you to answer now. Open your mouth a little wider when you speak, and always say, Your Majesty.
I only wanted to see what the garden was like. Your Majesty.
That's right. Though when you say garden, I've seen gardens compared with which this would seem a wilderness.
And then I thought I'd try to get to the top of that hill.
When you say hill, I could show you hills in comparison with which you'd call that a valley.
No, I shouldn't. A hill can't be a valley, you know. That would be nonsense.
You may call it nonsense if you like, but I've heard nonsense compared with which that would be sensible as a dictionary.
It's marked out just like a large chessboard. It's a great, huge game of chess that's being played all over the world. Oh, how I wish I was one of the players.
That's easily managed. You can be the White Queen's pawn since Lily's too young to play. Now, you're in the second square to begin with. When you get to the 8th square, You'll be a queen.
Queen.
Are you thirsty?
Terribly.
Have a biscuit. While you're refreshing yourself, I'll just take the measurement. After 2 yards, I shall give you directions. Have another biscuit.
Thank you.
Thirst quenched, I hope? After 3 yards, I shall repeat the directions for fear you've forgotten them. After 4 yards, I shall say goodbye. And after 5 yards, I shall go. Now, the pawn goes 2 squares in its first move. So you'll go very quickly through the 3rd square by train, I should think, and find yourself in the 4th square in no time, and that belongs to Tweedledum and Tweedledee. The 5th square is mostly water. The 6th square belongs to Humpty Dumpty. But you make no remark.
I didn't know I had to make one just then.
You should have said, "It's extremely nice of you to tell me all this." However, we'll suppose it's said. The 7th square is forest. However, one of the knights will show you the way. And in the 8th square, we'll be queens together, and it's all feasting and fun. Speak in French when you can't think of the English for a thing. Turn your toes out when you walk. And remember who you are. Goodbye.
Tickets, please. Where's your ticket, child?
Don't keep him waiting, child. Why, his time is worth £1,000 a minute.
I'm afraid I don't have one. There wasn't a ticket office where I came from.
There wasn't room for one where she came from. The land there is worth £1,000 an inch.
Don't make excuses. You should have bought one from the engine driver.
The man that drives the engine, why, the smoke alone is worth £1,000 a puff.
I don't know what to say.
Better say nothing at all. Language is worth £1,000 a word.
Dream about £1,000 tonight, I never shall.
You are travelling the wrong way.
Sorry, but so young a child ought to know which way she's going, even if she doesn't know her own name.
She ought to know her way to the ticket office, even if she doesn't know her alphabet.
She'll have to go back from here as luggage. Lovely little parcel.
Change engines.
Sounds like a horse.
You might make a joke on that. Something about horse and horse, you know.
She could go by post. She's got a hand on her like a stamp.
You could be sent as a message by the telegraph. Very nice.
She must draw the train herself for the rest of the way.
Never mind what he says. But get a return ticket every time the train stops.
Indeed, I shan't. I don't belong to this railway journey at all. I was in a wood just now. I wish I was back there.
You might make a joke on that. Something like, you would if you could, you know.
If you're so anxious to have a joke made, why don't you make it yourself?
I know you are a friend, a dear friend, and an old friend, and you won't hurt me, though I am an insect.
What kind of insect?
What? Then you don't know that I'm an ant?
It's only appropriate to jump over into the forward square.
You don't like all insects.
I like ones that can talk. None of them talk where I come from.
What kind of insects do you rejoice in?
I don't rejoice in insects at all, because I'm rather afraid of them. At least the large ones. But I could tell you the names of some of them.
And of course, they answer to their names.
I never knew them do it.
What's the use of their having names if they don't answer to them?
No use to them, but useful to people that name them, I suppose. If not, why do things have names at all?
I can't say. Furthermore, in the woods over there, they have no names. However, go on with your list. You're wasting time.
Oh, well, there's the horsefly.
Halfway up that bush, you'll see a rocking horsefly. It's made entirely of wood, and it gets about by swinging itself from branch to branch.
What does it live on?
Sap and sawdust. Go on with your list.
Then there's the dragonfly.
Look at the branch above your head. You'll see a snap dragonfly. Its body is a Cornish pasty. Its wings are holly leaves, and its head is a small raisin burning in brandy.
And what does it live on?
Frumenty and minced pie, and it makes its nest in a Christmas box.
And then there's the butterfly.
Crawling at your feet, you'll observe a bread and butter fly. Its wings are thin slices of bread and butter, its body is a crust, and its head is a lump of sugar.
And what does it live on?
Weak tea with cream in it.
But supposing it couldn't find any?
Well, then it would die, of course.
That must happen very often.
But it always happens. I suppose you wouldn't want to lose your name.
No, indeed.
And yet I don't know. I mean, imagine how convenient it would be if you managed to go home without it. For instance, if the governess were to call you to your lessons, she would shout out, "Come here!" And there she'd have to stop, for there would be no name for her to call. And of course, you wouldn't have to go.
But that would never do, I'm sure. A governess wouldn't excuse me lessons for that.
Well, if she said miss and then said nothing else, then of course you'd miss your lessons. That was a joke. I wish you had made it.
Why do you wish I had made it? It was a very bad one. You shouldn't make jokes if it makes you so unhappy. This must be the wood where things have no names. I wonder what'll become of my name when I go in. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, jaws that bite. I do believe that they live in the same house. I suppose they've got the tweedles round the back of the collar.
If you think we're waxworks, you ought to pay. Waxworks weren't made to be looked at for nothing, all right?
If you think we're alive, you ought to speak.
Sure, I'm very sorry. Tweedledum and Tweedledee agreed to have a battle, for Tweedledum said Tweedledee had spoiled his nice new racket.
I know what you're thinking, but it ain't so. Oh, no.
Yeah, because if it was so, it might be. And if it were so, it would be. But as it isn't, it ain't. That's logic.
I was thinking, which is the best way out of these woods? It's getting so dark. Would you tell me, please? First boy. Next boy.
I'm sorry. So you become rum. The first thing you do in a visit is say, "Adjutant," and shake hands. Twice round is enough for one dance.
It would never do to say how do you do now. But you seem to have got beyond that somehow. I hope you're not much tired.
No, all right, but, thank you very much for asking.
So much obliged. So you like poetry?
Yes. Pretty well. Some poetry. Would you tell me the way out of the wood?
What shall I recite to her?
The Walrus and the Carpenter is the longest.
How long is it?
Tell you what, I'll do the Walrus and the Carpenter.
Gaze out.
If it's very long, could you tell me first?
The sun was shining on the sea, shining with all his might. Did his very best to make the billows smooth and bright, and this was odd, because it was the middle of the night.
The moon was shining sulkily because she thought the sun had got no business to be there after the day was done. It's very rude of him, she said, come and spoil the fun.
The sea was wet as wet could be, the sand as dry. You could not see a cloud because no clouds were in the sky. No birds were flying overhead. There were no birds to fly.
The Walrus and the Carpenter, they're walking close at hand. They work like anything to see, such quantities of sand. If this were only cleared away, they said it would be grand.
If 7 maids with 7 mops swept it for half a year, do you suppose
the Walrus said
they could get it clear? Odds are, sir,
said the Carpenter, and shed a bit of tear.
Oh, Oysters, come and walk with us.
The Walrus did beseech.
Pleasant walk, pleasant talk, along the briny beach. We cannot do with more than 4 to give a hand to each. The oldest oyster looked at him, but never a word he said. The eldest oyster winked his eye and shook his heavy head, meaning to say he did not choose to leave the oyster bed.
The 4 young oysters hurried up, all eager for the treat. Their coats were brushed, their faces washed, their shoes were clean and neat. And this was odd because, you know, they hadn't any feet.
4 other oysters followed them, and yet another 4. And thick and fast they came at last, more and more and more, all hopping through the frothy waves, scrambling to the shore.
The Walrus and the Carpenter walked on a mile or so, and then they rested on a rock conveniently low. And all the little oysters stood and waited in a row.
The time has come,
the Walrus said,
to talk of many things, of shoes and ships and sealing wax, of cabbages and kings, and why the sea is boiling hot, and where the pigs have wings.
But wait a bit,
the oysters cried.
Before we have our chat, for some of us are out of breath, and all of us are fat.
No hurry,
said the Carpenter. They thanked him much for that.
A loaf of bread,
the Walrus said,
is what we chiefly need. Vinegar and pepper besides are very good indeed. Now, if you're ready, oysters dear, we can begin to feed.
But not on us,
the oysters cried, turning a little blue.
After such kindness, that'd be a dismal thing to do.
Seems a shame,
the Walrus said,
to play them such a trick after we brought them out so far and made them trot so quick.
The Carpenter said nothing, but
the butter spread too thick. I weep for you,
the Walrus said.
I deeply sympathise.
With sobs and tears, he sorted out bows of the largest size, holding his pocket handkerchief before his streaming eyes.
Oh, oysters,
said the Carpenter,
you've had a pleasant run. Shall we be trotting home again?
But answer came on. And this was scarcely odd because they'd eaten every one.
I like the Walrus best because he was a little sorry for the poor oysters.
He ate more than the Carpenter, though. You see, he held his handkerchief in front so that the Carpenter couldn't count how many he took. Know what I'm saying?
Well, that was mean. Well, then, I like the Carpenter best if he didn't eat so many as the Walrus.
But he took as many as he could get.
Well, then they were both very unpleasant characters. Are there any lions and tigers about here?
No, it's only the Red King snoring.
Come and have a look. What a lovely sight. Fit to snore his head off.
I'm afraid he'll catch cold lying on that damp straw.
He's dreaming now. What do you think he's dreaming about?
Well, nobody can guess that.
Why about you? If he left off dreaming about you, where do you suppose you'd be?
Where I am now, of course.
Nah, God bless you, nah. Not you. You'd be nowhere. Why, you're only a sort of thing in his dream.
If that there king was to wake up now, you'd disappear. Boom. Just like that. Like that. No, not like that. Like that.
If I'm just a sort of thing in his dream, what does that make you, I should like to know?
Ditto. A ditto. Ditto!
Hush, you'll be waking him if you make so much noise.
Well, it's no use you talking about waking him when you're only one of the things in his dream. You know very well you're not real.
I am real. I am real.
You won't make yourself a bit realer by crying. There's nothing to cry about.
If I wasn't real, I wouldn't be able to cry.
I don't suppose you hope those are real tears.
Well, at any rate, I'd better be getting out of this wood, for really it's coming on very dark. Do you think it's going to rain?
I don't think so. At least not under here anyhow.
But it may rain outside.
Well, it may. If it chooses. We've no objections, have we? No.
Selfish things.
Ah! Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see it?
It's only a rattle. It's not a rattlesnake. Only a rattle, quite old and broken.
You know that? We're spoilt, isn't it?
There's no need to get so angry about an old rattle.
It's not an old rattle. It's a new one. I only bought it yesterday. It's my nice new rattle. Of course, you agree to have a battle.
I suppose so. Only see myself as to get dressed up, though.
I hope you're good at pinning and tying things. Every one of these has to go on somehow.
Yeah. Do you know, it's one of the most serious things that can possibly happen in a battle. Get one's head cut off.
Do I look pale?
Oh, yes, a little.
Yeah, because generally I'm very bright, but I've got a bit of a headache.
I got a bit of toothache. I mean, I'm far worse than you.
Well, then perhaps you'd better not fight today.
All right. Well, we've got to have a bit of a battle. But I don't care for it to go on too long. All right, what's time now?
About 4:30.
Well, 5 till 6 in there dinner, yeah?
Yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, she can watch us, sir. Only, you better not come very close. I mean, I generally hit everything I can see when I get really excited.
Yeah, and I hit everything whether I can see it or not.
Well, then you must hit the trees fairly often.
I don't suppose there'll be a tree left standing by the time you finish.
Just then flew down a monstrous crow as black as a tar barrel, which frightened both the heroes so they quite forgot their quarrel.
Sit down. Just gonna let this back or so. Don't run. Run.
But it could never get me here. It's far too large to squeeze itself in. I'm very glad I happened to be in the way.
Bread and butter, bread and butter. Bread and butter.
Am I addressing the White Queen?
Well, yes, if you call that addressing, it isn't my notion of the thing at all.
Well, if Your Majesty will only tell me the right way to begin, then I'll do it as well as I can.
But I don't want it done at all. I've been addressing myself for the past 2 hours.
May I help you put your shawl
I don't know what's the matter with it. It's out of temper, I think. I've pinned it there, and I've pinned it there. There's no pleasing it.
Well, it can't go straight, you know, if you pin it all on one side. There. Oh, dear me, what a state your hair is in.
The hairbrush has got entangled in it, and I've lost the comb yesterday.
What you need is a lady's maid.
Well, I'll take you with pleasure. 2p a week and jam every other day.
No, I don't mean you should hire me. And I don't care for jam.
It's very good jam.
Well, I don't want any today, at any rate.
Well, you couldn't have it even if you did want it. The rule is jam tomorrow and jam yesterday, but never jam today.
But it must come sometimes to jam today.
Oh, no, it can't. It's jam every other day.
I don't understand you. It's dreadfully confusing.
That's the effect of living backwards. It makes one a little giddy to begin with.
Living backwards? I never heard of such a thing.
But there is one great advantage in that one's memory works both ways.
Well, I'm sure mine only works one way. I can't remember things before they happen.
It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards.
What sort of things do you remember best?
Oh, things that happened the week after next. For instance, there's the King's messenger. He's in prison being punished. And the trial doesn't even begin till next Wednesday. And, of course, the crime comes last of all.
I suppose he never commits the crime.
Well, that would be all the better, wouldn't it?
Well, of course it would be all the better, but it wouldn't be all the better his being punished.
You're wrong there at any rate. Were you never punished?
Only for fault.
And you were all the better for it, I know.
Well, yes, but then I'd done the things I was punished for. That makes all the difference.
But if you hadn't done them, that would have been better still. Better, 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 better! Oh, my finger's bleeding! Oh,
What's the matter? Have you pricked it?
I haven't yet, but I soon shall.
Well, when do you expect to do it?
When I fasten my shawl again, the brooch will come undone directly.
Well, careful, you're holding it all crooked.
That accounts for the bleeding. Now you understand how we do things here.
Well, aren't you going to scream again?
Why? I've done all the screaming already. What would be the good of having it all over again?
Well, I'm glad.
I wish I could manage to be glad, but I can never remember the rules. You must be happy living here and being glad whenever you like.
Yes, and it is very lonely here.
Oh, don't go on like that. Consider what a great girl you are. Consider what a long way you've come today. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider anything. Only don't cry.
Can you keep from crying by considering things?
That's the way it's done. No one can do two things at once, you know. Now, let's consider your age to begin with. How old are you?
I'm 7.5 exactly.
You don't have to say exactly. I can believe it without that. Now, I'll give you something to believe. I'm just 101, 5 months and a day.
Oh, I can't believe that.
Can't you? Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes.
No, it's no use trying. One can't believe impossible things.
I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I'd do it for half an hour every day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. There goes my shawl again.
I hope your finger's better now.
What is it you wish to buy?
I don't quite know yet. I should like to look all around me first, if I might.
You may look in front of you, or on both sides if you like, but you can't look behind you unless you have eyes in the back of your head.
Things flow about so here. It's quite provoking.
Are you a child or a spinning top? You'll make me giddy, turning round like that.
I should like to buy an egg, please. How do you sell them?
5 farthing for one, 2 for 2.
Then 2 are cheaper than 1.
But you must eat them both if you buy 2.
Then I'll have 1, please. They mightn't be at all nice, you know.
I never put things into people's hands. That would never do.
You must get it yourself.
I wonder why it wouldn't do. The egg seems to get further away the more I walk towards it. How very odd to find trees growing here. Well, this is the very queerest shop I ever saw. Humpty Dumpty. It can't be anybody else. And how exactly like an egg he is.
It's very provoking to be called an egg, very.
I said you were like an egg, sir. And some eggs are very pretty, you know.
Some people have no more sense than a baby.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty in his place again. That last one is much too long for the poetry. Why do you sit out here all alone?
Why? Because there's nobody with me, of course.
Well, don't you think you'd be much safer on the ground? That wall's very narrow.
What tremendously easy riddles you ask. Of course, I don't think so. Why, if I did fall, which there's no chance of, but if I did fall, the king has promised me... you didn't think I was going to say that, did you? The king has promised me with his very own mouth to...
Send all his horses and all his men.
No, I declare that's too bad. You've been listening at doors and behind trees and down chimneys, or you couldn't have known it.
I haven't indeed. It's in a book.
Ah, well, they may write such things in a book. Oh, take a good look at me. I'm one that has spoken to a king, I am. And to show I'm not proud, you may shake hands with me. How old did you say you were?
I'm 7 years and 6 months.
You never said a word like it.
But I thought you meant how old am I?
If I'd meant that, I'd have said it. Now, if you'd asked my advice, I'd have said, leave off at 7. But it's too late now.
You seem very good at explaining things. I wonder, would you tell me, please, the meaning of the poem Jabberwocky?
I can explain every poem that was invented, and a good deal that haven't been invented as yet. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. Old mimsy were the borogroves and the mome raths outgrabe. Beware the Jabberwock, my son, the jaws that bite, the claws that catch. Beware the jub-jub-bird, and shun the frumious bandersnatch. He took his vorpal sword in hand, long time the maxim foe he sought. So rested he by the tam-tam tree and stood a while in thought. And as in uffish thought he stood, the Jabberwock, with eyes of flame, came whistling through the algae wood and burbled as it came. 1, 2, 1, 2, and through the vocal blade went slick a snack. He left it dead, and with its head he went galumphing back. And hast thou slain the Jabberwock? Come to my arms, my beamish boy. O fraptious day, Callooh, Calais, he chortled in his joy. 'Twas brillig, and the slithy toves did gyre and gimble in the wabe. All mimsy were the border groves, and the mome raths outgrabe. Plenty of hard words there for you. Well, brillig means 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the time when you start broiling things for dinner.
That'll do very well. And slithy?
Well, slithy means lithe and slimy. You see, it's like a portmanteau. There are 2 meanings packed up into 1 word.
I can see that now. What's to gyre and gimble?
To gyre is to go round and round like a gyroscope. To gimble is to make a hole like a gimlet.
And a wabe is the grass plot around a sundial, I suppose.
Well, of course it is. It's called a wabe because it goes a long way before it and a long way behind it.
And a long way beyond it on each side.
Exactly. And mimsy means flimsy and miserable. There's another portmanteau for you. And a border grove. It's a shabby-looking bird with feathers sticking out all round. Something like a live mop.
And what's outgrabe?
Well, outgribbing is something between bellowing and whistling with a sort of sneeze in the middle. However, you'll hear it then maybe down in the wood yonder. And once you've heard it, you'll be quite content. That's all. Goodbye.
Bye. Till we meet again.
Well, I should know you again if we did meet. You're so like other people. 2 eyes, so, nose in the middle, mouth under. It's always the same. Now, if you had the 2 eyes on the same side of your nose and the mouth on top, that would be some help.
But it would look nice.
Wait till you've tried.
Bye.
All the unsatisfactory people I've ever met.
Wait till you've tried.
I've sent them all. Did you happen to meet any soldiers, my dear, as you came through the wood?
Yes, I did. Several thousand, I should think.
4,207. That's the exact number. I couldn't send all the horses, you know, because 2 of them were wanted in the game. I haven't sent the 2 messengers either. They've both gone to town. Just look along the road and tell me if you can see either of them.
I see nobody in the road.
Only wish I had such eyes to be able to see nobody. And at that distance, too. Quite as much as I can do to see real people by this light.
No, I can see somebody now. But he's coming very slowly. Curious attitudes he goes into.
Not at all. He's an Anglo-Saxon messenger, and those are Anglo-Saxon attitudes. He only does them when he's happy. His name is Hare, with an H.
I love my love with an H because he is happy. I hate him with an H because he is hideous. I feed him with ham sandwiches and hay. His name is Hare, and he lives
He lives on the hill. The other messengers are called Hatter. I must have two, you know, to come and go. One to come, one to go.
I beg your pardon?
It isn't respectable to beg.
No, I mean, I don't understand. Why one to come and one to go?
Well, don't I tell you? I must have two to fetch and carry. One to fetch, one to carry. This young lady loves you with an H. You alarm me. I feel faint. Give me a ham sandwich. Another sandwich.
There's nothing but hay left now.
Hey, then. Nothing like eating hay when you faint.
I should think throwing cold water over you would be better.
I didn't say there was nothing better. I said there was nothing like it. Who did you pass on the road?
Nobody.
Quite right. This young lady saw him too. So, of course, nobody walks slower than you.
I do my best. I'm sure nobody walks much faster than I do.
He can't do that, else he'd have been here first. However, now you've got your breath, you may tell us what's happened in the town.
I'll whisper it.
You call that a whisper? If you do such a thing again, I'll have you buttered. It went through and through my head like an earthquake.
It'll probably be a very tiny earthquake. Who are at it again?
The lion and the unicorn, of course.
Fighting for the crown?
Yes, to be sure. And the best of the joke is, it's my crown all the while. Let's run and see them.
You're my prisoner.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Check!
She's my prisoner, you know.
Yes, but I came and rescued her.
Well, we must fight for her, then.
You'll observe the rules of battle, of course.
I always do.
Well, I wonder now what the rules of battle are. One rule seems to be that if one knight hits the other, he knocks him off his horse. And if he misses, he tumbles off himself. And another rule seems to be that they hold their clubs with their arms as if they were Punch and Judy. And another rule seems to be that they always fall on their heads. Oh.
That was a glorious victory, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. I don't want to be anybody's prisoner. I want to be queen.
So you will be. When you've crossed the next brook, I'll see you safe to the end of the wood. And then I must go back, you know. That's the end of my move.
Thank you very much. Would you like me to help you off with your helmet?
Yes, please. Ah, I see you're admiring my little box. It's my own invention. To keep clothes and sandwiches in. I carry it upside down, you see, so the rain can't get in.
But the things can get out. Did you know the lid's open?
No, I didn't know it. Well, that means all the things have fallen out. My box is no use without them. Can you guess why I did that? I hope some bees may make a nest in it. Then I should get the honey.
But you've got a beehive. Or something very like one fastened to the saddle.
Yes, I have. It's a very good beehive. One of the very best kind. And not a single bee has come near it yet. This other thing's a mousetrap. I suppose the mice keep the bees out, or the bees keep the mice out. I don't know which.
I was wondering what the mousetrap was for. It isn't very likely there would be any mice on the horse's back.
Not very likely, perhaps. But if they do come, I don't choose to have them running all about. It's as well to be provided for everything, you see. I mean, that's the reason the horse has these anklets round his feet.
What are they for?
To guard against the bites of sharks. It's an invention of my own, and now help me up, please. I'll walk with you to the end of the wood. What's that dish for?
It's meant for plum cake.
Ah, we'd better take it with us, because it might come in handy if we find any plum cake. Help me to get it into this thing. Oh, tight squeeze. There are a lot of candlesticks in here. But you got your hair well fastened on.
Only in the usual way.
That's hardly enough. The wind is so very strong here. It's as strong as soup.
Have you invented a plan for keeping the hair from being blown off?
Not yet. But I've got a plan for keeping it from falling off.
Oh, I should like to hear it very much.
Well, first you take an upright stick. Then you make your hair creep up it like a fruit tree. Now, the reason hair falls off is because it hangs down. Things never fall off upwards. You see, it's a plan of my own invention. You may try it if you like.
I'm afraid you haven't had much practice in riding.
What makes you think that?
Because people don't fall off quite so often when they've had much practice.
I've had plenty of practice. Plenty of practice. Plenty of practice.
Indeed.
The great art of riding is to keep... The great art of...
I hope no bones are broken.
None to speak of.
It's too ridiculous. You ought to have a wooden horse with wheels, that you ought.
Does that kind go smoothly?
Much more smoothly than a live horse.
Well, then I'll get one. One or two, several. I'm a great hand at inventing things, you know. I dare say you noticed the last time you picked me up, I was looking rather thoughtful.
You were a little grave.
Just then I was thinking of a new way of getting over a gate. Would you like to hear it?
Very much indeed.
Well, I'll tell you how I came to think of it. You see, I said to myself, the only difficulty is with the feet. The head is high enough already. Now, first I put my head on the gate, then the head's high enough. Then I stand on my head and the feet are high enough. You see, then I'm over. You see?
I suppose you would be over by the time you'd done that, but don't you think it'd be rather hard?
Well, I haven't tried it yet, so I can't tell for certain. I'm afraid it would be a little hard.
How can you go on talking so quietly, head downwards?
Oh, does it matter where to be? My mind goes on working all the same. In fact, the more worse I happen to be, the more I keep inventing new things. The cleverest thing I ever did. The cleverest thing I ever did of the sort was inventing a new pudding during the meat course.
In time to have it cooked for the next course. Well, that was quick work, certainly.
No, not the next course. Certainly not the next course.
Well, then it would have to be the next day. I suppose you wouldn't have 2 pudding courses in one dinner.
No, not the next day. No, not the next day. In fact, I don't believe that pudding ever was cooked. In fact, I don't believe that pudding ever will be cooked. And yet, it was a very clever pudding to invent.
What did you mean it to be made of?
Began with blotting paper.
That wouldn't be very nice, I'm afraid.
Not very nice alone. But you've no idea the difference it makes mixing it with other things like gunpowder and sealing wax. And here I must leave you. You're sad. Let me tell you a tale. Comfort you.
Is it very long?
Yes, it's long. But it's very, very beautiful. Everybody that hears me say it, it either brings the tears into their eyes, or else...
Or else what?
Or else it doesn't, you know. The name of the tale is called Haddock's Eyes.
It's the name of the tale, is it?
No, that's something quite different. That's what the name of the tale is called. The name really is The Aged, Aged Man.
Oh, so I ought to have said that's what the tale is called.
No, you oughtn't. That's quite another thing. The tale is called Ways and Means, but that's only what the tale is called. See?
Then what is the tale, then?
I'm coming to that. The tale really is sitting on the gate. I'll tell thee everything I can. There's little to relate. I saw an aged, aged man sitting on a gate. Who are you, aged man? I said. And how is it you live? And his answer trickled through my head like water through a sieve. He said, I look for butterflies that sleep among the wheat.
I turn them into mutton pies and sell them in the street. I sell them unto men, he said, who sail on stormy seas, and that's the way I get my bread. A trifle, if you please. But I was thinking of a plan to dye one's whiskers green, and always use so large a fan that they could not be seen. So, having no reply to give to what the old man said, I cried, "Come, tell me how you live," and thumped him on the head. His accent smile took up the tale. He said, "I go my ways. When I find a mountain rill, I set it in a blaze. And thence they make a stuff they call Rowland's Macassar oil. Yet twopence halfpenny is all they give me for my toil." But I was thinking of a way to feed oneself on batter, and so go on from day to day, getting a little fatter. I shook him well from side to side until his face was blue. "Come, tell me how you live," I cried, "and what it is you do." He said, "I hunt for haddocks' eyes among the heather bright, and work them into waistcoat buttons in the silent night. And these I do not sell for gold or coin of silvery shine, but for a copper halfpenny. That will purchase mine. I sometimes dig for buttered rolls, or set limed twigs for crabs. I sometimes search the grassy knolls for wheels of handsome cabs. And that's the way," he gave a wink, "by which I get my worth. And very gladly will I drink your honour's noble health." I heard him then, for I had just completed my design to keep the Menai Bridge from rust by boiling it in wine. I thanked him much for telling me the way he got his wealth, but chiefly for his wish that he might drink my noble health. And now, if e'er by chance I put my fingers into glue, or madly squeeze a right-hand foot into a left-hand shoe, or if I drop upon my toe a very heavy weight, I weep, for it reminds me so of that old man I used to know, whose look was mild, whose speech was slow, whose hair was whiter than the snow, whose face was very like a crow, with eyes like cinders all aglow, who seemed distracted with his woe, who rocked his body to and fro, and muttered mumblingly and low, as if his mouth was full of dough, and snorted like a buffalo. That summer evening long ago, sitting on a gate. You've only a few yards to go now. Down the hill and over that brook, and you'll be a queen. Only you'll stay and see me off first. I shan't be long. You'll wait and wave your handkerchief when I get to that turn in the road. I think it'll encourage me, you see.
Of course I will. And thank you so much for coming this far, and for the tale. I liked it very much.
Hope so. You didn't cry so much as I thought you would.
It won't take long to see him off, I expect. There he goes. Right on his head, as usual. However, he gets on again pretty easily. That comes of having so many things hung around the horse. I hope it encouraged him. And now for the final brook, and to be a queen. How grand it sounds.
old bones.
It's rheumatism, I should think. I hope you're not in much pain.
Dearie me.
Can I do anything for you? Only rather cold here.
Now you go on. Worrity, worrity, there never was such a child.
Won't you let me walk you round to the other side?
Oh.
You'll be out of the cold wind there.
Worrity, worrity, worrity. Oh, can't you leave a body alone?
Would you like me to read you a bit of this?
You may read it if you have a mind to. Nobody's hindering you that I know of.
Latest news. The exploring party have made another tour in the pantry and have found 5 new lumps of white sugar. Large and in fine condition. In coming back...
Any brown sugar?
No, it says nothing about brown.
No brown sugar. A nice exploring party.
In coming back, they had a sad accident. 2 of their party were engulfed.
What?
Engulfed?
There's no such word in the language.
It is in this paper.
Let it stop there.
You're not well at all. Can't I do anything for you?
It's all along of the wig.
Along of the wig?
You'd be cross too if you had a wig like mine. They jokes at one and they worrits one. And then I gets cross, and I gets cold, and I gets under a tree, and I gets a yellow handkerchief, and I ties up my face, as at the present.
Tying up the face is very good for the toothache.
And it's very good for the conceit.
Is that a kind of toothache?
Well, no. It's when you hold your head up, so, without bending your neck.
Oh, you mean stiff neck?
Oh, that's a newfangled name. It was called conceit in my day.
Conceit isn't a disease at all.
It is, though. Wait till you have it, and then you'll know. And when you catches it, just try tying a yellow handkerchief around your face. It'll cure you in no time.
The wig would be much neater if you had a comb.
What? You're a bee, are you? And you've got a comb. Much honey?
Not that sort of comb. It's a comb hair with. Your wig is so very rough, you know.
I'll tell you how I came to put it on. When I was young, my ringlets waved and curled and crinkled on my head. And then they said you should be shaved and wear a yellow wig instead. But when I followed their advice and they had witnessed the effect, they said I did not look so nice as they had ventured to expect. They said the wig did not fit, and so it made me look extremely plain. But what was I to do, you know? My ringlets would not grow again. And now that I am old and grey, and all my hair is nearly gone, they take my wig from me and say, "How can you put such rubbish on?" And still, whenever I appear, they hoot at me and call me pig. And that is why they do it, dear, because I wear a yellow wig.
Yeah, I'm very sorry for you. And I think if your wig fitted a little better, then they wouldn't tease you quite so much.
Your wig fits very well. It's the shape of your head that does it. Your jaws are not well shaped, though. I should think you couldn't bite well.
I can bite anything I want.
Not with a mouth as small as that. If you was a-fighting now, could you get hold of the other one by the back of the neck?
I'm afraid not.
Well, that's because your jaws are too short. But the top of your head is nice and smooth. Then your eyes. They're too much in front. One would have done as well as two, if you must have them so close.
I think I must be going now. Goodbye.
Goodbye. And thank you.
And now for the last brook, and to be a queen. How grand it sounds. The 8th square at last. Well, it is grand. I never expected to be a queen so soon. And I'll tell you what it is, Your Majesty. It'll never do for you to be lolling about like that. Queens have to be dignified, you know. If I really am a queen. Please, would you tell me...
Speak when you're spoken to.
But if everybody obeyed that rule, and if you only spoke when you were spoken to, and you always waited for the other person to begin, then nobody would ever say anything.
Ridiculous. What do you mean if you really were a queen? You can't be a queen until you pass the proper examination, and the sooner we begin it, the better.
I only said if.
She says she only said if.
But she said more than that. Oh, ever so much more than that.
So you did, you know. Think before you speak. Always speak the truth and write it down afterwards.
I'm sure I didn't mean...
That's just what I complain of you should have meant. What do you suppose is the use of a child without any meaning? Even a joke should have some meaning. And a child is more important than a joke, I hope. You couldn't deny that if you tried it with both hands.
I don't deny things with my hands.
No one said you did. I said you couldn't if you tried.
She has it in her mind to deny something, but she doesn't know what to deny.
A nasty, vicious temper. I invite you to Alice's dinner party this afternoon.
And I invite you.
I didn't know I was to have a party at all, but if there is to be one, I think I ought to invite the guests.
We gave you the opportunity to do so. But I dare say you haven't had many lessons in manners yet.
No!
Manners are not taught in lessons. Lessons teach you to do sums and things of that sort.
Can you do addition? What's 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1?
I don't know, I lost count.
She can't do addition. Can you do subtraction? Take 9 from 8.
9 from 8, I can't.
She can't do subtraction. Can you do division? If you divide a loaf with a knife, what's the answer?
I suppose...
Bread and butter, of course. Try another subtraction sum. Take a bone from a dog. What remains?
Well, the bone wouldn't remain if I'd taken it. And the dog wouldn't remain. It would come after me. And I'm sure I shouldn't remain.
So you think nothing would remain?
Yes, I think that's the answer.
Wrong as usual. The dog's temper would remain.
I don't see how.
Look, the dog would lose its temper, wouldn't it?
Perhaps it would.
So if the dog went away, the temper would remain.
They might go different ways.
She can't do sums a bit.
Can you answer useful questions? How is bread made?
Well, you take some flour.
Where do you pick the flour?
You don't pick it at all. It's ground.
How many acres of ground? You mustn't miss out so many things.
Fan her head. She'll be feverish after all that thinking. Do you know languages? What's French for fiddle-de-dee?
Fiddle-de-dee isn't English.
Whoever said it was?
Well, if you can tell me what language fiddle-de-dee is, I'll tell you the French for it.
Queens never make bargains.
Wish Queens never asked questions.
I'm so sleepy. She's tired. Smooth her hair and sing her a soothing lullaby.
I don't know any soothing lullabies.
Hush-a-bye, lady, in Alice's lap. Till the feast's ready, best time for a nap. When the feast's over, we'll go to the ball. Red queen and white queen and Alice and all. Now that you've heard the words, sing it through to me. I'm a bit tired now.
Hush. Hush. I'm not a visitor, and I'm not a servant. There ought to be one marked Queen.
No admittance till the week after next.
What is it now?
Where is the servant whose business it is to answer the door?
Which door?
This one, of course.
What's it been asking of?
I don't know what you mean.
I speak English, doesn't I? Or are you deaf? What did it ask you?
Nothing. I knocked at it.
Shouldn't do that. Shouldn't do that. It waxes it, you know. You let it alone, and it'll let you alone.
You missed the soup and the fish. Bring on the joint. You look a little shy. Let me introduce you to this leg of mutton. Alice, mutton, mutton, Alice.
May I cut you, sir?
Certainly not. It isn't etiquette to cut anyone you've been introduced to. Remove the joint.
I won't be introduced to the pudding, please, or we shall get no dinner at all.
Pudding, Alice. Alice, pudding. Remove the pudding.
Waiter, bring back the pudding.
Impertinence. How would you like to get something to this slice out of you?
Make a remark. It's ridiculous to leave all the conversation to the pudding.
Do you know, I've had such a quantity of poetry repeated to me today, and it's a curious thing. All of it seems to be about fishes in some way.
in Alice's health?
You can return thanks by making a neat speech.
We must support her. I rise to you. Take care of yourself. Something's going to happen.
You're a bee, are you?
I can't stand this any longer. I'm sorry, darling. Shall we read some more tomorrow night?
Okay.
Mr. Walrus?
That's not a memorandum of your feelings.
That's the end of my move. All facing fun.
Good night, Auntie.
A boat beneath a sunny sky, lingering onward dreamily, in an evening of July. Children three that nestle near, eager eye and willing ear, pleased a simple tale to hear. Long has palled that sunny sky, echoes fade and memories die. Autumn frosts slain July.
Still she haunts me, phantom eyes. Alice moving under skies, never seen by waking eyes. Children yet the tale to hear, eager eye and willing ear, lovingly shall nestle near. In a wonderland they lie, dreaming as the days go by, dreaming as the summers die, ever drifting down the stream, lingering in the golden gleam. Life, what is it but a dream?